Why is it that people who are intelligent, motivated, and ambitious often self-sabotage? And why is it that no matter how much money we spend on workshops, training, and learning new skills, many of us are still achieving the same level of success? It's like we were born with a limit above our head that we're trying to break but don't know how. One thing we know for sure is the answer to this question is not the lack of resources and opportunities. We live in a time of history where resources and opportunities are available to everyone more than ever before. Yet so many of us never take the move towards the life they want. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Soukaina. I am an engineer living in Paris, and in today's video I explain the hidden reasons and unconscious patterns that cause intelligent people to self-sabotage, plus what are the ways to change them. If you look at all these people that you certainly know, what do they have in common except of course being very successful in their respective fields? Well, the answer is they all had access to almost no resources and opportunities, and against all the odds went out and created huge success. Someone like Oprah, who was born to a single teenage mother in poverty, who got raped twice, who suffered from sexual abuse for so many years and got pregnant at 14 years old, and despite all these challenges, she went out to become the first African American woman to be a billionaire in 2003. So we can safely say that the lack of resources and opportunities is not the only reason why you're not successful. And if you still need convincing, go and read the biographies of one of these people. Human behavior expert Peter Sage said that our nervous system is hardwired for comfort, but our soul is hardwired for growth. Our brain protects us by keeping us in the comfort zone and making us take the easy way out. So very often we listen to our nervous system and avoid discomfort. But discomfort is where growth happens. And it's the war between the comfort zone and the call for growth that keeps us in the rat race, frustrated and running to go nowhere. Or what Peter Sage calls the phenomenon of the hamster wheel of mediocrity. So, are we condemned to live a life of mediocrity? The answer is yes and no. Let me explain why. People will never rise above their opinion of themselves, and that opinion is often formed in childhood years before 7 years old. The Greek philosopher Aristotle once said, "Give me a child until he's 7 and I will show you the man." During childhood, an individual is like soft clay that can be molded into any shape. So if during these first years a child does not feel secure, loved, wanted and deserving, he will live his adult life having limited beliefs about his potential and feeling he's not enough, so unconsciously acting in a way that justifies his right, and therefore undermining his own good intentions and long-term goals whenever he comes close to success. The common ways people self-sabotage include procrastination, perfectionism, pessimism, and despair. And you can't seem to change these behaviors because they come from a childhood unconscious programming that you are undeserved. So the first law is you will never rise above your opinion of yourself. So whether you think you can do something or you can't, either way, you're right. The second law is no one will love you more than you love yourself. So if you love yourself 20% and you find someone who loves you 15%, which is close enough to how much you love yourself, you'll be attracted to them and you think maybe this is the big love of your life. However, 15% is still not enough. So many of the challenges we have today to achieve success come from an unconscious childhood programming. When you have done something so many times, your brain can carry on doing it quickly and accurately without any conscious thought. Ever realize you have driven yourself home without paying attention? This means that your brain is switched on what we call the autopilot mode. A survey of 3,000 people by the Director of Action for Happiness found that 96% of them admitted living on autopilot mode. When you encounter a new situation, you use your intelligence and consciousness to make a decision. So when you chose to take the elevator rather than the stairs for the first time, or to pick up your phone first thing in the morning after you wake up, your brain thinks it should be a good decision. And if you make the same decision over and over again, it becomes an unconscious pattern that does not involve any critical thinking. So even if you're making the wrong decision for you, your brain does not question it and it becomes a habit or part of the autopilot mode. Now, the autopilot mode is very useful for tasks like walking, swimming. You don't want to think about it every time you do it. But it cannot be the default mode the majority of the time. People use their conscious mind 5% of the time. And 90% of the time, your unconscious mind is on the driving seat without any control from your critical brain. So if you set yourself big goals in one direction, but your autopilot mode is switched to the opposite direction, to all the wrong behaviors and patterns and limited beliefs, then you're not gonna get anywhere near where you want to go. Another factor that is strongly impacting you is your environment. We live in a world that is designed to make us fat, depressed, and in debt, and we rarely question it. Let's take the news, for instance. Many of us watch it without ever questioning what it is really doing to us. Have you ever wondered how much you're benefiting from seeing all that breaking reporting, all these disasters and tragedies that you have very few, if any, options to affect positively? All it's doing is making you angry, distracted, and negative. Now, some of you might say, I have enough strength and willpower to resist the negativity. Well, first, research has shown otherwise. And second, why would you use your willpower to resist a negative environment that can be changed? Wouldn't it be better to use it in a more efficient and productive way? Just imagine two fish, one strong fish swimming against the stream and a small one swimming downstream. Eventually, the small one will be able to go further and with less efforts. We don't get to choose whether or not we get programmed. We are programmable beings, and we get to have a say on a conscious level in how we want to be programmed. You can start your day with morning affirmations and gratitude, but if you are surrounded with negative people who are constantly pulling you down, you are more likely to believe them than your affirmations. And this is what Peter Sage calls the law of conformity. If you hang out with non-recreational drug users, you are going to become the 10th. And if you want another outcome, you'd have to leave the group. Now that we know why we self-sabotage, how can we change these patterns and stop self-doubt forever? The answer is not to learn more skills or take more trainings and workshops. The answer is self-mastery. Progressively eliminating all the negative programming and replacing it with a positive one. It does not happen overnight, unfortunately. Like anything worth achieving in life, it takes time. The first tip is stop the wrong programming. The main source of negative programming in our lives are first the mainstream media and second a negative peer of group that you hang out with. So stop watching the news, because the goal of mainstream media is not to get you informed. These television networks are businesses and their goal is to keep you looking on the screen. So the more you watch, the more ad revenue they can make. Most of the news doesn't really affect you and you won't get any information that will help you be better. So ask yourself, why are you watching the news and how it is really making you feel? The answer is more likely anxious and depressed. You can't watch the news every day and be positive. It just doesn't work. So stop immediately and don't worry, if something big happens that impacts you directly, it will find its way to you. Another point is your peer group. So choose friends who will lift you up and encourage you to go after what you want. And learn to walk away from toxic situations, negative conversation, or people who constantly tell you that you can't. The second tip is add the right programming. We live in a time where resources and content are available to us easily, so we just have to choose the ones that benefit us. If you are looking for the bright side, there are thousands of articles, books, videos, and podcasts that will help you find it. So start exposing yourself to the kind of information that will support your growth and evolution. The problem is today the default info is negative, so you have to make an extra effort to deliberately choose to tune off the negative and focus on the positive. The third tip is make the default choice the best for you, aka eliminate all the things that are holding you back. So rather than letting yourself fall in for the unconscious patterns, deliberately change your environment to make the default situation the best for you. So try to design your environment in a way that reduces the friction to start and keep going. And don't worry about the results at first until you master the art of showing up and doing some work daily. Even a 10-minute daily commitment can do wonders. And over time, you program your brain to trust you, so you start trusting yourself and believing in your potential. These tips will help you to consciously reprogram your subconscious mind to create better habits and a more positive programming. The main factor that predicts success is not skill or talent. The most important thing is self-belief and self-mastery. So start working on that and success will follow. That's all for me, guys. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you're new, and as always, question everything, do your own research and follow your instincts. I'll see you very soon in the next one. Bye!